It's time once again for another episode of Georgia Business Radio. Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta. And now here's your host, Rich-Casanova.
All right, we're here for another exciting episode of Georgia Business Radio from our Pro Business Channel studios here in Buckhead, Atlanta, and alongside Craig Williams. Has this been an unbelievable day so far, or what?
We're in the middle of Small Business Month, week, day, and now we're in that moment.
In that hour.
Yeah, that very moment.
So it is National Small Business Week, and we have the folks that know all about this, and we're going to get a little backstory. We're going to ask you all to chat about the backstory of this event that's taken place a number of years. We want to first just say welcome to the guests that are joining us in the studio. We have Terry Dennison. You're the Georgia District Director of the U.S. Small Business Administration. Welcome actually back to the studio, right?
Glad to be back.
Yeah, so we're going to hear some new news and updates, what's going on here in Atlanta. And from the region perspective, we have the one and only Mr. Cassius Butts. Welcome back.
Rich, very good to be here with you today.
And we should just have you do a regular show. I mean,
I feel like this is home for me.
It is. Well, we love that. Yeah,
second home anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're pro business, and you guys absolutely pretty much wrote the book on being pro business. And you've served under several administrations. You've been. We'll talk about your backstory in a moment. But originally, we had you. It was about $8 billion. In capital funding,
That's right. It was $8 billion.
And what are we at now?
20.
Dang.
Yeah, over $20 billion now.
That's just amazing. It's
just with help from folks like you. So.
All right. Yeah. Well, maybe $1.50 of that. Yeah, we were responsible for it. But all right. So let's begin the show now with introducing our first guest here. Joining us in the studio, Deputy Administrator Douglas-Kramer was confirmed by the Senate to his position last June. Prior to that, he held a variety of positions in President Obama's administration, including 4 years in leadership roles at the White House. As Deputy Administrator, he's responsible for managing the agency and ensuring the efficient operation of its programs. You work to make sure the agency fulfills its promise to support U.S. small business, and we love that. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Craig. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So you're here specifically in Atlanta, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. It's for the Southeast region, but for the U.S. Small Business Week, as we talked about, right?
Right. I mean, I'm not sure I can top Craig's enthusiasm, but I'll try. But this is National Small Business Week, which is a very big deal for us. We do events all across the country. We try to raise awareness about the importance of small businesses. On their own, they may not be able to galvanize enough attention, so we give them a week where we, tell their stories, tell the importance of what they do, and how the next round of small businesses and entrepreneurs can get up to speed.
And in a word or two, briefly tell us the backstory of the folks that are not the SBA. When did it start? What was the mission?
So the SBA was actually started all the way back in the administration of President Eisenhower. Yeah. And since 1963, we've had presidential declarations designating a week every year as National Small Business Week. Because the whole idea of SBA is it's an arm of the government right now, a member of President Obama's cabinet, that is specifically focused on making sure that there are good opportunities for entrepreneurs and small businesses to get the support, the sort of special support that they need to grow and succeed in their efforts.
And what would you say has been, from its startup, inception, if you will, what changes have occurred over those years? I mean, how does it kind of morphed or evolved?
Yeah, well, it's morphed and evolved a lot to meet the needs of the entrepreneurs we work with. They're really at the cutting edge of the economy, innovating, finding the new opportunities. They're the baseline needs. New businesses have always needed access to credit, so a lot of our programs are based on that. We've also realized that the federal government is a very large consumer, the largest customer in the world. So we've tried to galvanize that power towards small businesses. But over time, we've found that there's a need for venture capital funding for small businesses and research funding for small businesses. So our programs have evolved to meet those needs as well.
So it's almost as though Eisenhower was prophetic in knowing that this time would come, that small business would be how we grow and the world knows us as.
Well, and it really has made us the envy of the world. I mean, as I talk to folks from other countries that are trying to operate in this same space, just the way that entrepreneurship is really woven into who we are as people in this country, they would love to have that culture, and they don't. So Eisenhower stepping on that at a time that we were just trying to rebuild after the war and do all of that was really a great step.
That's pretty interesting.
So you're saying the federal government as a customer is larger than Amazon?
I think we did $91 billion with small businesses alone last year. So
Wow.
I'd put that up against, as a marketplace, I'm not sure where Amazon is. But as the end customer, I think I'll take my stake with the federal government.
So they've got Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
Right. Or gold. So talk about the events going on this week. So you just had a spectacular event at Georgia Tech. Talk to us about some takeaways there.
Well, it was a great event over at Georgia Tech, and it's similar to what we're trying to do across the country, bringing together all the different people that go into the effort to open a small business, the entrepreneurs themselves, the banking partners, the counseling partners from SCORE chapters and small business development centers, and then other folks in the private sector that work with small business owners and entrepreneurs, to put them all in the same room, talk about the challenge of opening a small business, talk a lot about the opportunities for small businesses. And there was just a great vibe over there this morning.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people very interested in really moving in a positive direction on this. So it was great.
I mean, the conversations on stage with a panel of experts. I was there and got the pleasure to actually interview the Georgia Small Business Person of the Year, which was Catherine Downey with the CEO of Cat Media, right?
Yeah, no, Catherine's great. Catherine is, we had all 50 winners in D.C. On Sunday and Monday of this week to sort of kick off the week. And Catherine's story is great, but I can tell you I talked to 10 different, winners, and all of them have these great stories of not only what they've done for themselves, but what they do for their community. It's a really inspiring set of stories.
I heard Mark Cuban was there too. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
he's pretty much everywhere, right?
No, he is, but he's great, and he's a great advocate for entrepreneurship and what it's all about. And he spent a lot of time with us at the awards ceremony on Monday, talking about his vision and experiences, and with all met and took pictures with all 50 state winners. It was really great.
And he spends a lot of money with small business.
Well, I mean,
outside of his own.
Undoubtedly. I mean, we're just obsessed with the Shark Tank, but I've seen him there in the White House on some special episodes, and it's just like amazing that entrepreneur at that level and engaged with the folks that you were having conversation with here today. But talk to us about the services that y'all offer for the up-and-comings and the entrepreneurs, and give us a thumbnail sketch of some folks or what people may not be familiar with.
Yeah, so we generally like to think that for small businesses, there are three main legs to the stool. The first is our credit programs. We work with banks all across the country to guarantee loans that they make to small businesses, so that if that bank is at all reticent about taking on the risk of someone who doesn't have a track record, we agree to share at least half of the downside risk. That's 69,000 loans last year for about $28 billion. Wow. It's a big lever.
Yeah.
On top of that, we do the contracting piece we talked about. By statute, federal agencies in the aggregate are supposed to spend about 23% of their spend with small businesses. For the last 3 years, and for the first time in a long time, we've not only hit that target, but exceeded it. I think we did about 25.7% last year. Again, $90 billion. I can't say that too much. And then our counseling programs. We work through small business development centers, SCORE, our district offices throughout the country, veteran centers, women's centers, to really provide the education that a small business person might need. Because a lot of the people who have the best ideas to be commercialized don't know how to write a business plan, don't know exactly how to go out and find people to sell to, don't know necessarily how to find those banks. And so we provide counseling services to do that.
Do you think the word is getting out enough about how great a resource you all are?
I'm not sure that it does. I mean, I think it's an absolutely great resource. Part of the reason we do this week is, on the one hand, no single small business on their own gets the sort of attention of a Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
So we like to push them, but we also like to talk about our programs because, as I always say, we can't create and grow a small business. You need someone who's willing to invest their blood, sweat, and tears. So what we do is we create an ecosystem, and we're not always out front doing that. We support the banks that support the small businesses. We support venture capital funds that invest specifically in small businesses. So that small business may know that this is their bank and that's a VC fund investing in them. They may not always see as directly that it's a lot of SBA money behind that, making that possible. So we want to make sure that people are aware that there is help out there on their dark days when they inevitably go through those challenging valleys of their small business growth, that there's a lot of support out there for them if they need it.
Powered by SBA.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And we've had several conversations with the SBA here in the studio, but I always feel like I learned something new. And I'm looking at notes. Talk to us about this SBA 1.
Yeah.
What is that program about?
Well, in our attempt to make sure that we are as streamlined and available as small businesses need us to be, we are in the process of automating all of our outward-facing programs. So the first phase of SBA 1 is automating our loan origination program. We really call it sort of the TurboTax version for banks that are trying to get a guarantee. If it will expand our reach, because if you're a bank that hasn't done a lot of SBA guaranteed loans before, there are a lot of regulations just by necessity with these sorts of programs. This one will guide you through all the questions so that you can get that loan. We're expanding that as well and adding SBA 1 functionality sort of across all of our programs. So our contracting programs that help businesses get preferential treatment in getting government procurement contracts. We're in the process of automating that and really trying to spread that across the agency.
Just want to remind our listeners, you're listening to Georgia Business Radio and the Pro Business Channel studios here in Buckhead, Atlanta, and we're spotlighting the SBA, Small Business Administration. We're having a conversation with the Deputy Administrator Kramer. We want to turn our attention. We're going to come back to Mr. Kramer here in just a moment, but we're going to turn our attention to Cassius Butts. We mentioned a minute ago. So you were appointed by President Obama in 2011. You're responsible for the delivery of SBA programs in Region 4, which is our region, the Southeast. Right. During your appointment, 5 record-breaking years, and we call you the $20 billion man. Yeah. So Cassius, talk to us about the opening national celebration took place here in Atlanta. What were some of your takeaways, observations?
Well, first of all, it was great. We had a wonderful opportunity, again, to have our deputy administrator here to visit us and see a lot of the entrepreneurs who were in the room just eager to hear about what's taking place at SBA. The cool part about it, Rich, is that everyone came with the expectations of what's next with SBA, and to kind of hear their story. And so we had several media folks come in to say, hey, we want to hear about the small business story. And, of course, our Georgia person here, Catherine, she did a wonderful job by just giving the outlay of, the work that she's put in, and she's come back to our district office. She was a participant in the 2014 Emerging Leaders class, and I'll let Terry talk about that, but she was valedictorian, and that was huge. And so it just shows when you put in that hard work, it comes back to you. And so it was really great. And the courses are still going on now as we speak. They're networking, they're engaging, and they're finding different ways to stay involved.
What do you consider the climate of Southeast region right now?
Sure.
In SBA,
I consider it just like we're looking out this window, nice and sunny.
Yeah, nice forecast.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
It is. There's that clap. There's that clap. I say that because in all honesty, we've done a really good job of trying to listen to aspiring entrepreneurs and seasoned entrepreneurs who are looking to scale up. And we've done a pretty good job. I must say our Georgia district office, you're going to hear from Terry Dennison, our district director here, but her 7 other counterparts who said, hey, let's work together to make, small business cool again. And so, we...
Cool and sexy.
Yeah, well, hey, I know the cool part. But it was just really good having, again, I cannot say enough to have our deputy administrator to come down here to kick off National Small Business Week here. Where he could have been anywhere else in the country. So to come to Region 4 is a pretty good deal for us.
So you think that Atlanta is that destination for small business now?
Well, I think it is because we're providing the atmosphere to be receptive. We're breaking down the silos of what folks may have thought about in government, and showing them that it can be more user friendly. And just making certain that we do a great job of doing strategic alliance memorandums. One of the persons today was Tisha Tallman, who's the president and CEO of the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And for her to give all of her members opportunity to hear about what takes place at SBA, we did a strategic alliance memorandum with them, and other folks heard about it, and they wanted to come on to do one, and it's okay, well, great. So it's affecting not just the folks who were in the audience, but they get to go back to tell their members and their associates who were not able to be here today.
I'm really excited.
And it was live. It was live, streamed live.
Yeah, nice.
Streamed live.
Yeah. So, Craig, if you want to introduce our next guest joining us here in the studio.
Yes, we have Terry Dennison. She's of the Georgia District Director of the U.S. Small Business Administration. In this role since May 2002, she is responsible for overseeing the implementation of the SBA's financial and counseling, training, and business development programs for small businesses throughout Georgia. Terry?
Welcome back to the studio.
Yes.
So talk to us about your role. What's a day look like in life for you?
Well, basically, My role is to oversee the operations and program delivery of SBA's programs and services throughout the state of Georgia. My day, there's really no such thing as a typical day. It could be chatting with a small business owner, prospective small business owner, interacting with organizations that are in the economic and business development space, and everything else in between.
You've been in this role you've been in and around this department and government anyway since '87. That's a long time. So share how the transitions that you've seen, how it's affected you and your outlook on small business.
Wow. Well, I think the constant, and it's become more and more prevalent as time has gone on, is that small business is the end thing, and it's something that distinguishes, I think, as Deputy Administrator Kramer puts it, from other countries, and areas and communities where you have that entrepreneurial spirit tend to be vibrant and exciting, even for people who are not necessarily interested at the moment in becoming small business owners. They just want to be around that energy.
And obviously, with our studio here in Atlanta, talk to us about the homegrown folks. How would they reach out to you or engage on the district level here, specifically in Atlanta, as far as engaging in the services?
Sure. They can do a couple things. They can go to the Georgia District Office website for SBA, and that's sba.gov/GA for Georgia.
Okay.
Or they could call our offices at 404-331-0100.
Perfect. And I think Deputy mentioned it as well, but we engage personally in the studio down at the office with the services with SCORE. And it's just, that's one of these other not best kept secrets, but and just to be able to sit down, we had a conversation with these folks that are C-level retired or engaged executives in different positions and careers, and to be able to kind of pick their brain and as a somewhat small entity, you don't have all the resources that a large company might have, right? So be able to have them almost as your board of directors. Is that a fair explanation? Or
Yes. Often individuals, if they click with a particular mentor, they really do develop that long-term advisory relationship.
Yeah, I was very impressed. So we just have a few minutes left here. I want to kind of open it up for a little roundtable discussion, if you will. So we have 3 questions we're going to throw out, and we'd like each person to just give their perspective on. So we want to ask you, what's a challenge in your business on a day-to-day basis or your role? What's a good day look like for you? And then finally, how would you define pro-business? So those are your 3 multiple choice, and actually all questions. So anyone who wants to jump in, a challenge, what's a good day, and how do you define pro-business?
So I'll just be very frank on the challenge. I think we need to be working and make sure that small dollar lending is available to small businesses. I think that we have seen a lot of our top-end numbers are at all-time records. The $28 billion we did last year is a record. But I'm hearing from small businesses that those small dollar loans are not as available as they should be. So we've worked very hard to waive fees on those loans, identify new banking partners that are, community banks and other institutions that are in those places where those loans might not be available. But we need to continue to do a good job with that, because this is part of the frustration of not doing these services directly. We have to rely on our financing partners to go out and make those loans that we can then guarantee. But we need to continue to do better on that. A good day, frankly, is just me. Is this week is me getting to go around and talk to people who've opened their own small businesses, because they are so proud of what they've done. They have a twinkle in their eye. They are great members of their communities. They are so proud of their friends and families who have all contributed to that, and that just really warms the heart. I think I forgot the third.
How would you define pro-business?
SBA.
Well, absolutely. I think pro-business is, as I sort of put it to someone earlier today, we never get away from the idea that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it is all on you, and it will be a challenge, and you need to eat, drink, sleep, thinking about your business success. But sort of contradictory at the same time, if you stumble, if you run into a speed bump, we have created an ecosystem that picks you up or keeps your balance. We're not going to be able to do it for you. Never be able to do it for you. But big businesses can survive the bumps in the road. It's a delay for them. It's a small budget issue. For a lot of small businesses, it can be fatal. And so we try to create an environment where when you hit some of those rough patches, or you have a question, or you need the sort of strategic advice to see around corners from a mentor, that those resources are right at hand.
Turn that stop button into a pause.
Yeah.
Well said. And from the district or the regional perspective, Cassius?
Well, certainly, I think one of the challenges that we have is really just getting the word out about what takes place at SBA. That's why, we come here so often and we try to speak whenever we have the opportunity so more and more your listeners can get involved and say, hey, I didn't know that.
Right.
It's happening, though, and more people are hearing about how really obtainable it is for them to realize their entrepreneurial dreams. Good day. I'm on an airplane. I'm talking to the person to the right of me about SBA.
Yeah.
And just telling them about what's taking place. And I think when we take that initiative, it helps me personally because it makes me feel really good about what we're doing. And professionally, you see the difference of it. The fruits of the labor is in the numbers that you heard. But as Deputy Administrator Kramer said, we still have some ways to go because we are still finding other ways to reach out to our audience and to find out where our audiences are and also just to find out ways to help them. So it's one thing to provide access to capital, but it's another thing to show them how to use that access to capital.
And in your words, how would you define pro-business?
Definitely pro-business is, for me, over 98% of the economy runs off of small business. And so that's just a fact. I mean, so you figure out when we're looking out this window, all these places out here are small business. And so defining it is when you see those anchors and those arm lifts coming up, picking up buildings and to the side, and you see construction going on. And so we see that means that there are concrete folks who are getting access to capital able to get a contract. That means that buildings are being built, which means that folks are moving to the area, which means that they are looking for transportation to purchase cars and house. Just when you just start to see the economy go in that direction, I see pro-business as just being that, just economy moving forward.
I love that. You mentioned being on a flight. We were going to get small business airlines or small business airwaves, but that would be SBA. You guys already got the SBA, so we stuck with Pro Business Channel. So Terry, talk to us about from the district level. What's a challenge and a good day look like for you?
Okay. I think the biggest challenges relate to what Cassius said earlier in terms of getting the word out about SBA, because unfortunately there are times when I run into people who are on their last leg, and they've gone through all their resources. They don't know how they're going to keep the business open. It's like, gee, if we had rewound back to the beginning and given you some advice and some resources in the beginning, then your chances for success would have been much greater. And by the time we hear about them, sometimes it's too late. In terms of a good day, definitely a day like today, hearing about small businesses and what they've done and what they've achieved, or running into a business that I met a few years ago just starting out, and now they have actually got the business established and doing very well. And then pro-business?
Yeah.
To me, pro-business is the balance between connecting business owners with the resources and information they need and then getting out the way so that they can do what they do best.
Wow. I love that answer. So we're going to finish the show here with one last question. What's next? Okay, so announcements coming up, and we're going to go in reverse order. We'll start with Terry from the Atlanta and the district perspective, and then work our way up to the national level. But so Terry, talk to us about here in Atlanta, and each of you can chime in on the Atlanta events because it is from the all the way up till the 7th of May is National Small Business Week. But Terry, what's some announcements or activities, or what's next?
Sure. Tomorrow we will be honoring our Georgia Small Business Week winners at Villa Christina.
Oh, man.
Luncheon hosted by the Georgia Lenders Quality Circle. We'll be honoring, 8 individuals, actually, or businesses. Of course, the Georgia Small Business Person of the Year, the Georgia Exporter of the Year, and the Georgia Family-Owned Business of the Year. Then there's several champion awards, those who aren't necessarily business owners, but they champion the causes of small businesses, such as women-owned businesses, veteran-owned business, et cetera. And then we're also recognizing one of our women's business centers for their excellence in service delivery.
We need to get our name in the hat, Craig, for a 2017 Small Business Media Award or something. Yeah.
Maybe we need to give the award.
Oh, well, we talked about that for a September event. Yeah.
There is a small business media.
All right. So I don't want to look like things are rigged, but we want to say we appreciate that in advance. Yeah. So, Cassius?
Certainly, I think what's next is regionally the same things taking place within a region, but also we want more and more people to hear about what's taking place. Please have your listeners follow us at SBA Southeast. You can hear about what's taking place every time you log in on your smartphone or your laptop. SBA.gov is huge. It's very user friendly. I have to mention that the Georgia District Office is the #1 visited website in the country,
and it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, it is, and so they're doing a fantastic job. There you
and
go.
you get all the applause,
Oh,
dude. I don't
no,
know what's
it's-
up with that. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. When I come, we come bearing gifts. And so,
No, we love cash.
our last, but is definitely the first in all of our opinions, is Deputy Administrator Kramer. So we're glad to have him here. So this is our gift today.
Well, we're proud to have you here. I mean, it's a first of spotlighting on the national level right here in Atlanta in terms of Business Week, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's definitely what's next for us. I mean, we're just getting started. We had a couple of days in D.C. to celebrate all 50 winners. Atlanta today was our first event.
Okay.
Administrator Maria Contreras' suite is in New York tonight.
Yeah.
And then we hit Chicago, Denver, San Jose, Phoenix, a number of different cities all across the country. Anybody who wants to get up to speed on that or what's happening at any of our 60-plus district offices can go to sba.gov/NSBW, National Small Business Week, to get information on that. The other thing that's coming up, which I think kind of plays into this, is Mother's Day. I like to sort of say part of the reason I like that we do National Small Business Week this time of year is if you're going to go buy that gift for a graduate or a mother, no offense that you can't go to Walmart.
Yeah.
You got to go to that boutique. You got to go to that place where
there
that
you go.
person either made that gift or bought it themselves when they saw it, and that's the sort of personal interaction that gives the gift meaning. It gives your buying experience meaning, and that's part of the advantage that small businesses give. So be sure to remember that.
A little bit more heart and soul with that, right?
Yeah, it just feels good, and the small business will leave that money in the community. They're generally sponsoring little league teams.
Yeah.
It's just a good feeling, a good buying experience. And if you're going out to buy a gift, don't wait till Saturday night and find that 7-Eleven is the only place open overnight.
Yeah.
Go find those small businesses this week. Buy a great gift. It'll be good for everybody.
Most definitely.
Speaking of Maria, we had her sitting right in that same seat a while back, and so say hi to her. And we were always our middle name is Business.
Yes.
So we love these types of conversations, and just an honor and a pleasure to have you all in the studio. Craig, any closing thoughts, comments, insights?
Shout out to Miss Sweet.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I really
I mean,
appreciate
her story is amazing,
Yeah,
right?
It is.
And one takeaway I was just thinking of is she was telling the story that she was working at a bank at the time in California, right?
Yes.
And the federal government showed up at the bank.
Yes.
Right.
Coming full circle.
Yeah.
But at first, that wasn't, we have all those black vehicles showing up at the bank, and people were a little concerned, right? But it was actually great news, that she was being
Well, that's the thing we like to say is we don't provide, we don't regulate, provide oversight, or arrest people in black cars. If you don't want anything to do with this, you don't have to. We'll stay away. But there are a lot of reasons you want to do it. And she's had so much great experience in a variety of different backgrounds that she brings to the job and provides a lot of really good insight into the sort of issues that we try to tackle.
We definitely appreciate you all taking the time out of your busy schedules to share some time with us in conversation.
Very good. We
Thanks
appreciate
for
the
having us.
opportunity.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time on Georgia Business Radio.
Thank you again for joining Rich Casanova and our guests on the Pro Business Channel. Use the social media links here to share today's show and stay tuned for the next episode of Georgia Business Radio.